Hello guys, good afternoon. You are welcome to my YouTube channel, The Explicit Tutorials. As you all know, my name is Dr. Joseph. Please, as you are watching this video, endeavor to subscribe, like, share, and comment. In today's video, we shall be discussing carbon cycle as a topic in biology. Now, before I go into this topic, let me quickly say something. You know, plants and animals require certain elements for good growth and healthy development. Some of these elements are CHOM, which is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and what? Nitrogen. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and what? Nitrogen. Now, the elements present in the living cells, of plants and animals are biotic. All right, the elements or compounds present in the living cells of plants and animals are what? Biotic. While the ones present in the soil, water, and atmosphere are said to be what? Abiotic. I repeat, elements or compounds present in the living cells of plants and animals are said to be what? Biotic. But the ones present in the soil, water, and atmosphere are said to be what? Biotic. What are said to be abiotic? What are some examples of elements or compounds that are biotic? One, nitrate. I told us in the initial class that nitrate is biotic, which is HNO3. Then carbon is also what? Biotic. All right, carbon is also what? Biotic. Then sugar, which is CH2O. CH2O is also what? Biotic. Take note of that. These are biotic entities. But as for hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, they are all what? Abiotic. Take note. Water. Please take note. Water is what? Abiotic. Take note of that. Take note of that. It is what? Abiotic. Now, producers, all right, producers have the ability to convert carbon to what? Carbon 4 oxide. They have the ability to convert carbon to what? Carbon 4 oxide. You know, carbon is biotic, while carbon 4 oxide is what? Abiotic. Take note of that. Animals, they can also form or produce CH2O. Now, this CH2O can be used by decomposers. They can be used by decomposers, producers, and consumers. They are used by decomposers, producers, and what? Consumers. Now, as soon as this H2O, all right, is reacted with oxygen by these entities or by these living things, you are going to be having carbon 4 oxide and what? Water. You are going to be having carbon 4 oxide and what? Okay. Where's the border paper? Excuse me. Let me explain it better. Now, as carbon 4 oxide is released to the atmosphere, for example, now if plant uses carbon 4 oxide, all right, in the presence of water, you are going to be having what? C6H12O6 plus what? Oxygen. All right, so that is 6 moles of oxygen. 6 moles of what? Oxygen. Here you have chlorophyll and you have sunlight. So this is a photosynthetic process. As soon as plants make use of carbon 4 oxide in the atmosphere, they release what? Oxygen as byproduct, as well as what? Glucose. It is this oxygen, when this oxygen is used with this, once this oxygen is used with sugar, carbon 4 oxide is released into the atmosphere. Okay, fine. Okay, before I go into that, cellular respiration, cellular respiration. What are some processes that result to the release of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. One, you have cellular respiration. Two, you have decomposition. Three, you have the burning of wood and fossil fuels. All right, burn of wood and fossil fuels, and volcanic what action. So these are the various processes. Good. Apart from these four, you now also have the fifth one to be carbon dioxide is also released from the bodies of what? Water. You know, aquatic organisms, they require what? Oxygen. Once they make use of oxygen, carbon dioxide is exhaled out. So one of the ways in which carbon dioxide is made available in the atmosphere is from the bodies of seas or any water like seas, oceans, streams, and rivers and all that. So these are the various processes in which carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere. Take note of that. From decomposition, by decomposing agent, carbon dioxide is released to the atmosphere. Then through putrefaction, putrefaction, that is the decay of plants and animals. When plants decay, carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere. So the instances carbon dioxide is released to the atmosphere, you have cellular respiration, decomposition, burning of wood and fossil fuels, you have volcanic action, you have carbon dioxide being released from the bodies of water by aquatic organisms. Take note of that. Which one again? Carbon is also lost through leaching and drainage in the form of what? Calcium and magnesium carbonates. All right. So carbon is also lost through what? Drainage and what? Leaching. Drainage and leaching. All right. When carbon is lost as carbonates, like in the form of maybe calcium and magnesium, you can see the process is called what? Carbonation or carbonatation. So through this, okay, let me illustrate something here. The reaction between a base and carbon dioxide to produce carbonate, either of these carbonates, is called what? Carbonatation. I have carbon dioxide reacting with a base. I'll have okay, maybe say calcium hydroxide. What will I be having? I'll have CaCO3. I will have CaCO3 and what? Water. So the reaction between carbon dioxide and a base is called what? Carbonatation. So this is a carbonate which is insoluble calcium carbonate. Similar reaction also occurs between carbon dioxide and what? Magnesium hydroxide. This base, you know that. So you now have magnesium carbonates and what? Water. So this guy is also what? Insoluble magnesium carbonate. All right. So please take note of what I've just done. So I've given the various processes in which carbon dioxide is actually exhausted or lost. Okay, I said photosynthesis result to what? Release of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Okay, is photosynthesis, is that correct? The mix of carbon dioxide. No, photosynthesis actually result to the release of oxygen to the atmosphere, sorry, okay? Because plants do not make use of what? Oxygen. However, take note of this. Foliage leaf in plants, foliage leaf, which is a young leaf, can actually undergo what? Respiration. Good. So I was correct. Yeah. Foliage leaf undergoes respiration. Being a young leaf and is living, it undergoes what? Respiration to release what? Carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Now let's look at the cycle. Let's look at carbon cycle. You have carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And for example, let me write here plants. Plants. You have carbon dioxide. Now, plants, for example, all right, plants are eaten by animals. They are eaten by animals, right? They are eaten by animals. You have here animals. When animals die, like death and decay, when animals die, death and decay, they release what? Carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Now, volcanic, like volcanoes or volcanic action can actually release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, as well as maybe activities of aquatic bodies can also release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And again, the burning, animals will undergo what? Respiration, right? Animals will undergo respiration to release, what's it called now? To release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Plants, they'll make use of carbon dioxide through photosynthesis. Right, through photosynthesis. Do not forget that. Is there any other point? Yeah. Putrefaction. That is the decaying of plants. The decaying of plants can also result to what? The release of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. All right. Is there any other point? Good. The burning of wood and fossils can also result to what? The release of, let me do it very well because of, so the burning of wood and fossils can also result to what? The release of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. I said that plants can also undergo what? Respiration to release what? Carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So these are the various processes in which carbon dioxide is released to the atmosphere. Is there another point I've not added? Okay. Please, the arrows are very important. So the arrows, they are very, very important. Okay. Let me go through it. So what I have here is called what? Carbon cycle. Take note of that. So let me take some minutes. Let me go through it. If carbon dioxide, plants eaten by animals will decay and die and decay. Okay. All right. Good. Now, something just entered my mind now. If carbon 4 oxide is also used by decomposers, producers, and consumers, they will react with hydrogen. That is, this idiot will react with hydrogen to produce what? CH2O plus what? Water. CH2O plus what? Water. This equation is not what? Balanced. You can see now that this is what? Glucose. This is glucose. Alright? Or let me call it sugar. Let me just call it sugar. You know glucose is C6H12O6. Alright. You know that sugar is formed, alright, when glucose is what? Decomposed. Or you can see that the monomers of glucose, you can call it what? Sugar. Because sugar is in the ratio of what? 1 to ratio 2 to ratio what? 1. Is that not correct? 1 to ratio 2 to ratio 1, but glucose is ratio 2 to ratio 6, ratio 12, and ratio what? 6. If I should divide this by 6, I'll have 1. Divide this by 6, I'll have 2. Divide this by 6, I'll have what? 1. So sugar is from what? Glucose. Now looking at this reaction between carbon oxide and hydrogen ion will produce what? Sugar and water. So the equation is not, I'll put 4 here. So what you have now is a balanced equation. Take note of that. So at this point, we call it a day. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment.